So I know there's a lot to be said about your business, about Indian issuance that we could see this year. Let's talk a bit about what the backdrop is for high yield issuers coming out of India. What are you looking at for 2021? Do you see a lot of possibilities this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the current market conditions are very conducive for issuers for such as ourselves to access the market. That is on the back of very nice and tight spreads that we're seeing, and even though the spreads have gone up a little bit in the last few days, but nevertheless, I think we are seeing record levels of spreads for our credit. And initially, we have sort of worked on developing this market. We have paid new issue concessions, and at the end of the day access the market and become a more prolific issuer. And we are one of the largest issuers out of India in this space. We have access to market multiple times every year. This year we expect no difference in our plans. I think we may have 2 3 issuances that we may line up this year, just given the overall liquidity which is available. It gives us the ability to refinance some of our upcoming maturities in the current market conditions. It also enables us to use some of the capital to sort of use it for our capital expenditure plans. So yeah, we are very keen on how this year plays out. We will hope the conditions on the market remain strong. And the reason why we are also this year a bit more hopeful is that all the volatility that we may see in the market would sort of be outweighed by the positive news on the vaccine development and the inoculation which happened subsequently across the world. And that should help us. And through the pandemic, we have survived. We've come out stronger. So that's again a new theme which will play out among the investor community, where companies who have done better in managing the balance sheet, the liquidity situation, given the pandemic conditions, would attract more capital. So we're very excited, frankly.
I know last year, after the first quarter, we really didn't see much issuance out of India. What have been some of the hurdles for Indian issuers when it comes to coming to the offshore market?
Yeah, so the spreads really increased substantially, and we saw that the LIBOR collapsed at one hand, and the spreads increased beyond 500 600 basis points. And in India, there are guidelines which sort of preclude issuers from accessing the market at yield levels which are higher than LIBOR plus 450. And in that backdrop, the issuances were just not possible. There were very large companies who had plans to access the market, but they were not able to do so. We did our issuance in January, just before the entire madness started in a way. So we got away with our fundraising plans. But subsequent to that, even we saw that some of those bonds traded below par, and the spreads really widened on those issuances. And the LIBOR falling from 2% to 30 basis points didn't help, because then the cap really came down to below 5%. So it was like a classic situation where it was a total risk of sentiment which was playing on in the market, and that really drove people to treasuries, and high yield just suffered in the process. We are seeing now a handful for yield in the market going on. We, as I said, because we have access this market, we may actually refinance one of our first issuances in the next few months. That also will give more confidence to the investors for backing companies such as ourselves. And that will then ensure that the hurdles which are driven because of pricing caps, etc., we are able to sort of make do that with tighter spreads, which will be applicable in the current market scenario.
As a renewables company, you certainly hold a special place in people's hearts and portfolios. How has the interest in green or environmental sustainable products ebbed and flowed in recent years? Is that driving any new investors to you?
It is. We have in the early days of green bond issuances, and we have been doing green bond issuances since 2016, right? So it's like 4.5 years. Now it's a buzzword. Back then, it was just a good to have sort of a thing. We never saw any pricing advantage on account of green issuance, but in the last, I would say 12 to 18 months, green sustainability is the mantra for the investors. Investors are actually asking us to ensure that we have sufficient disclosures in our investor section in on our website, where we are talking about all the various things that we're doing, either on the sustainability front or on the social front. And then obviously what we do is front and center of ESG from an environment point of view, but even the other aspects have become more important. We have a very well endowed CSR program which is there, where we take care of all the communities. Even through the pandemic, we ended up making donations to the Prime Minister's Fund, to the other Chief Minister's relief funds, to ensure that we are good companies from a social point of view, who take responsibility of the overall the basically markets where we operate, and the population which sort of helps us, the communities which help us with that. So clearly, the green issuances are likely to be much higher. It was higher than in 2020 compared to 2019. This year would be a record for these issuances. And we would obviously play an important role in doing that, especially out of India.
Great. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks, Martha.